Before beginning work on my next clock, I thought it would be useful to take you on a brief workshop tour to show you the tools and machines that I have at my disposal, as these will really dictate how I go about the design of the next clock. At the end of the video, access to this secret door will be revealed. So it is tiny, it's 8 foot by 8 foot, and there's someone in here already. So starting on the main workbench, you'll see I've got a little milling machine. It's a small Warco machine. I had wanted to buy a door Westbury, but I couldn't find one when I started this workshop. I wanted to keep the tooling old style because supposedly they're better made and more rigid. But the Warco is not bad actually, and here it's set up for wheel cutting. So I've got a DRO with it, which is really good actually. It's unfortunately the second one I've had in the space of a year. The first one's just stopped working. So above the milling machine we've got various saws and hammers and clamps, and above that I've got this little Proxon bandsaw, which, although it's really cheap and small, it's fantastically useful for cutting up sheet stock. Next to it I've got some Moore's Taper 2 arbors. I'll just get one down. I use these for wheel cutting, so you can mount the wheel with super glue onto the face of the aluminium, which is centered on this Moore's 2 taper, and that fits straight into my my rotary table. And moving around to my lathe, that also has a Moore's 2 taper, so I can turn the blanks and then move them without losing too much concentricity. This is my main area for working, and it's tiny. I think it's about 2 feet by 2 feet. So here's my lovely little Myford ML10, which I bought for really not much money on eBay, and this has been fantastic actually. I would definitely buy this again. It's solid, it's accurate. I bought the three-jaw chuck separately, and it's a good chuck, but when I bought it, it was completely unconcentric. So I stripped it down, cleaned it, and reground the inner jaws, and now it's working. It's absolutely brilliant. I would say it's pretty much as good as this large collet chuck I've got here. But for the finer stuff, I still use the collet chuck. We've got a 4-jaw chuck that goes with the ML10, and that's the old 3-jaw chuck, which is worse than useless. These are that's a drill set for brass. I've just flattened off the ends to stop them grabbing in brass. On the shelf directly above the lathe, I've got various drill sets. Above that, various fluids for doing all sorts of stuff, from lacquering to silvering to acrylic welding. It's amazing how much you accumulate. And this device here is is to go onto the lathe for gear cutting. It's just a motor which fixes onto the milling attachment. So moving further around the workshop, I've got various dial gauges. I've got an arbor press, and above that I've got some soldering gear. And I did mean to say that I found these little DROs incredibly useful, and I just attach these with strong rare earth magnets. You can hardly move them when they're on, and I find them really fantastic actually. I use them on the cross slide as well. So moving down, we've got I made the mistake when I first set this workshop up of buying a set of very cheap taps and dies, and I think for 30 quid, I should throw them away actually, I think they're under here somewhere. For £30, you get an amazingly good looking set, and they're absolutely hopeless. So I've invested in really good taps and dies. I've got a fine set, I've got a medium set here, I've got a tiny set here. These goes down to 1mm, and I've got a lovely set of reamers here, and I use this little chest for various grits of emery cloth, which I find just gets all over the workshop because I hate throwing it away. So moving on to the other side of the workshop, I've got a little old P-tool lathe that I've had for many years, and it's really quite good. It's good for doing pivots and things and really fine work. And to the right of that, we've got this lovely little old Cowell's milling machine, and I really like this actually because the Walco, quite often you can't get your face near enough to really see what's going on. So I can get a pair of glasses on and really get my face in there to see exactly what I'm doing. So it's a good machine, and for its size, it's incredibly solid. And moving further around, you've got another little workbench. And as you can see, I like designing on post-it notes, which I can then stick to the machine that I'm working on and throw away afterwards. So above the main desk, I've got a lovely set of needle files, tapes, glues, glass polish, and above that, things that I use less often. I thought I'd use my height gauge a lot more than I actually do, but that hardly ever gets any use. And some old projects, and then eyeglasses, magnifiers, and then this excellent little linisher, which is tiny. I'll put my hand against it so you can see how small it is. But it's a really handy machine for taking the burrs off things and bringing things to size quickly. So panning away from the little linisher and turning right, that's the door that we came through to start with. And in this cupboard, which is actually my laundry cupboard, is something really rather good. This is my latest purchase, which is a desktop CNC machine. I originally bought this just to do some engraving, but it's turned out to be so much more than just an engraver. And actually, I'm going to make many of the pieces for the next clock on this. So moving away from the CNC, I'm now going to go back around the workshop and we'll do the below bench stuff. So starting on the left-hand side of the main bench, we've got this drawer, which is just for standard hand tools. And below that, I've got files and Dremels. Below that, washers and manuals. And then underneath the bench, I've got this this scroll saw, which takes up way too much space actually in my tiny workshop, and I don't really use it very much. I thought it would be tremendously useful for doing crossing out the wheels, and I did use it to start with, but I went on to actually crossing out the wheels on the milling machine, which was far quicker. So maybe I'll get rid of that. And then I've got these old wine boxes for my stock brass bits and pieces, aluminium, and then underneath that steel. Below the Myford, I've got these array of drawers, and the top drawer is everything to do with lathe work. I've got diamond, got scribes and squares, pair of dividers. I've got a whole boring set here. Old micrometers and verniers. Many of them came as a job lot on eBay, and some metric and an imperial, centers, center drills. A lot of insert tooling came with my Myford. That's at the back here, which I don't use. And here I've got my quick change tool holders for my high-speed steel tools. The next drawer down, got all the stuff for the milling machine. Collet sets. Actually, this collet set is for the Myford. That collet set is for the milling machine. Set of parallels, 1, 2, 3 blocks, and obviously my milling cutters. Next drawer down, we've got drills and reamers and taps. Next drawer down, everything clock related. So I made this little gauge here for marking out the crossings on wheels. I've made this depthing tool and various arbors for holding fly cutters and PP Thornton cutters, and then clock bits and pieces from magnets to pieces of aluminium for holding wheels steady in the lathe, even little jigs like this. That was actually for reducing the diameter of little plastic washers. So we've got a selection of hairsprings. I bought all these because I needed to have a big selection for the for working out the remontoire that I made for the previous clock. Sadly, the company that makes them doesn't seem to be selling springs anymore, so I don't quite know what I'm going to do in future. Then we've got some brooches and various pieces of pivot steel and a selection of silver steel there. Next drawer down, we've got, I guess this is the projects drawer. So it's just a jumble of stuff, and everything that I've prototyped just gets chucked in this drawer, and it may be useful one day. And below that, nuts and bolts. Not much more I can say about that. And below that, this is all the stuff that came with the Myford lathe. We've got a milling block attachment here, a nice old dividing head, various face plates, moving around. I've got a slab of granite as a flat surface for sanding. I've got a microwave cleaner, ultrasonic cleaner, sorry, and then a selection of flat aluminium and brass. And finally, underneath the Cowells, I've got a drawer of various bits and pieces for the Cowells and the little lathe. And one final area underneath the desk, I've got a whole lot of very useful brass and steel shim stock and rubber gloves, and below that, the shop vacuum. A piece of equipment that I don't have room for storage for in my workshop is this 3D printer. It is pretty small, but I find it incredibly useful for prototyping work and for producing profiles that I can then stick to pieces of brass or aluminium using superglue, and then I can file up to the edge of the piece and produce an interesting profile really quickly and accurately. And there's one final piece of my workshop which I'd almost forgotten about, and it's actually through the bookcase. So you'll have to follow me. You just push this element of the bookcase, the whole thing slides back and then opens up, and I have my bench grinder, and a very convenient quenching pot below. So it's good to keep all the carburetor dust away from my tool beds, my machine beds. So that's why it's in this room. Guests find it a bit surprising when they come and use the loo, but they'll get used to it. Happy Christmas to everybody who's made it this far in the video, and I hope to see you in the new year when I begin the long task of designing and then making my next clock.